Welcome to BIT first semester revision series. Today is the last session for personal computing subject. By now you know that this personal computing subject based on 5 softwares. So up to now we did 3 questions based on 3 softwares, but today we are going to do the question based on base software, OpenOffice base. Okay, let's go to the first question. First question is, create a blank database and save it with your index number and the question code. So you know that since you go through the previous lectures, you know that how to do the, by now, but anyway let's do it. Let's go to all programs and then through OpenOffice, let's get base. So, you can create a new base. Now let's say finish, and they are going to ask you to give a name for it. As according to practical examination, you have to give your index number first, dash, then you need to give question code, which should usually start with capital B. Then you can click save, and this OpenOffice base software gonna start. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Here it says objects in base. Normally, like any database, this base software composed of 4 objects. Mainly, they are tables, forms, queries and reports. So, we are asking question about these objects in your practical examination. Together, these objects allows you to enter data, store data, analyze them and compile them as your wish, as according to your wish. So, as I said, we are asking about these 4 components in your examination. First thing is tables. So, let's see what is a table. Tables are essential objects in a database because they hold information and data. So, you put the data in your table. So, it is very essential thing in database. So, regarding that tables, we are asking this second question. Second question is, create a table called books with the following fields. So, let's see how to create table. Under this database group, let's click tables button. And then from any of these tasks you can create table. So, I am going to click this create table with design view button. And according to the question, field name first one should be ID and field type is number, and also there is a constraint, it should be the primary key. So, to get the primary key, you just right click this small arrow and then click primary key. Okay. Now let's add next one. Next one is field name title and field type is text like given, and field size should be 50. So, length is by default. Okay, let's read the other one. Description. Text field type default one and length is 30. Next one, category. Field type is number. Last one, number of copies. Field type also number. So, once you finish it, you can save it. In the question it says, create a table called books. So, that means you have to name the table with books. I am going to click OK, and once you close it, the books table is already created. Okay, let's go to the next question. Create a form to enter details about books and save it as books forms. Before we create this form, let's see what is a form. Form is used to enter your data and modify and weave your data to your tables. Remember, normally if you go to a doctor's appointment or any other institute for something, you have to fill forms. So same way you have to fill design forms and use the form in the same practical manner. When you are entering information into a form in base, the data goes exactly where the database designer wants to go. So if you create a form linking to a table, so those data goes exactly to that table. It could be one or more related tables. Here in this question we are asking to link it to one table, but normally if you are expert in this, you can link it to several tables. Now let's go back to that previous question. Create a form, enter details about books and save it as books form. Let's see how to do that. Click this button forms. You can either create it from design, but it's much easy if you create it from wizard. When you are going to the practical examination, it's much more easier. Here it's asking field selection. So you need to create a form for the table books, and you can add all the fields to that form, because we didn't say that there should be specific fields should be added into form. So in that case you can add all the fields to the form. Then click next. You don't need to add the subform, so just click next. You can arrange the forms in like you prefer. And there are few forms here. You can select one and set up that main form, and then let's click next. Next. You can find a style if you want, but we are not asking for it. Last one is set a name. Here in the question I asked to save the form with the name books form. So you have to write it books form. Now let's finish it. So this is the form you created. Let's go to the next question. Question 4. Insert the following data to books table using books form. So as I said earlier, forms used to enter data, modify, and for those kind of usefulness. So you can enter these data, the given data, using these forms to the table. It is true that you can enter data to table directly, but just imagine you have a large database and you can't edit that tables altogether. So you have to enter and delete or modify those data using forms. So in the question, if we ask to enter data using forms, please use forms and do it. Otherwise, if you enter data directly to the table, even though you can, we might reduce marks because you didn't follow the instructions. Okay, let's enter data. 1. Title is word. Description hardcover. Category 2, and there are 2 copies. Next one, 2. Computers. And the last one. Okay, now you can, since you have finished all the entering data, now you can close it. Let's go to the next question. Create a new table called book copies with the following fields. So again you have to go to the table button and then create another table called book copies. So we have only given field name and types. There should be copy ID, first one, all types are number for this. Second one, book ID. Then ISBN. Then version. So, like this you can create a table, but you can't save it without a primary key. So, let's move to the next question and let's try to do it again. Next question is, identify and create a primary key of this table if there's any. Before we define a primary key, let's see what is a primary key. According to this slide, primary key is a field in a table which uniquely identify each row and record in a database table. So, basically, especially for this exam, in a basic database, there is one primary key. So, each and every row can be uniquely identified. There is a unique number for each row. So, it should be the primary key field. Primary keys have unique features. They are mainly must contain unique values and must not contain null values. So, you can put 0, but still you cannot have empty cells there, and also it should have a unique value. So, in your primary key, if you put number 1, then next row you cannot put number 1 in that same column. So, like that. So, normally in a simple database, you are going to have one primary key, and especially for this practical examination, you are going to have one primary key. So, in the question you are asked to define the primary key. So, here it should be copy ID, because there are different books here, Word and Access, there are different books, but there are number of copies are there. So, if you put book ID as the primary key, then there won't be unique value, but for copy ID there will be unique value. So, I am going to put copy ID as primary key. I should save this table as book copies, then I am going to click OK, and once you close it, that book copies table going to be created. Okay, let's go to the 7th question. It says, insert following records to the book copies table. This is the book copy table, but it didn't ask to create a form and enter it. So, you can directly enter those data to the table without creating forms. Since we didn't ask, you don't have to create it. Let's open this table and we can enter data. Let's enter it. Okay, let's type the 6th one. Okay. Now, once you close it, all the changes have been saved. Okay. Now, we can move to the next question. Next question is, establish a relationship between books and book copies table. So, if when you are doing database, you are building some relationship, one or more or one to one. So, likewise, here in this question, it was asked to build a relationship between those tables. Create a relationship, you can click Tools tab and then create relationships button. Since you need to add relationship to both tables, you have to add both tables here and then click insert, then add new relations button. So relation dialog box going to pop up. So tables involved these two, and we going to match from which field type it's going to have a relation. Normally here under the books there is an ID, and also under book copies there is copy ID and book ID. We have to know which one should make a relationship. Here copy ID is a unique feature for book copies, but copy ID is different. But here in the book ID and under the books table ID is the same. They normally contain the same number. Just imagine under books, if we get the word book, then word book book ID, and also under book copies table book ID number also same. So I am going to make a relationship for the book ID and book copies book ID, and under book ID is the same one. So I am going to create a relationship with it. So it created a relationship like that. So you can close it. The relationship design has been changed. Do you want to save changes? And I'll say yes. Okay. Next question. Create a query called query book category to display book ID, title category, ISBN which belongs to given category. For an example, category 2. So when we retrieve data, we can create queries. For this question, you can easily use design view, create query in design view, and here you can see that you need the book ID, title, category and ISBN. So that means you need both tables. So I am going to add this both tables here. Okay, let's close it, and you need to add all the needed fields. And first one is book ID. I am going to add it from books ID field. Next one is title. Next one is description, and last one is ISBN which we can find from book copies here. But there is a condition. Condition is it should be in a given category. Since it, for an example, since it given 2, I am going to use the 2 here also. The criteria is, sorry, for this it is not description, it should be category. So criteria is 2. You can save it with the name query book category. Now you can click OK. Once you close it, that category query being created. Once you double click it, you can view all the data that been retrieved under category 2. These are the books that you can find under category 2 library. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. It's question 10. Create and save a report called book details with title, description and number of copies using following format. So as previous lesson I taught, there is another image of the report. So you have to create a report just like this. So let's create it. For that you need to go to the reports button and then click this use wizard create report button. Okay. Now under this report you can find titles, columns, title, description and number of copies. So you have to find those categories or field types in here. So I am going to get this books. Under that I can get title and description and also number of copies. So let's go to the next one. I don't need to change the label of the fields. Then let's go to the next one. since question didn't specifically ask for to change these settings, I'm not going to change it. And to create a report, title of the report according to the question was asked to book details. So, the title of the report should be book details. So, let us type it like that. And since I need to change the title, author and date, I am going to select modify report layout option and then finish it. Once you finish it, you will get a report like this. So, here according to the question, title should be book details. And as for the author, you have to put your index number. So, I am going to put my index number. And you can put the today's date, it's okay. And don't worry that these things you can't understand things coming up, but once you save it, once you once again open it, then real data gonna come. So, you can save this and close it. And let us open it again and see how it shows. Okay. Though earlier it shows some unidentified letters, now you can view data that we retrieved. So, these are the data. There are 4 books and all the details about this library, it's going to come like this, like a report. So, for the practical examination in personal computing, normally for the base question you get this kind of question, and also for this examination you are going to get 10 questions. So, we did all the 10 questions, and basically it's going to be similar to the model paper that you are going to face next examination. So, I hope you understand that how to do this base question. I hope you get a better idea, and see you next time. Thank you.